Hi everyone! For my Pecha Kucha presentation, I'm going to be talking about transgender and gender nonconforming children and how they develop their identity and gender expression. Additionally, I will be focusing on the impact that parents have on their children's identities and if there is a difference between heterosexual and queer parents in terms of their children's gender identity. Gender nonconformity in children is a topic that has become incredibly relevant over the last decade or so. Within politics and media, there is a focus specifically on transgender youth in schools and discussing whether they should, for example, be permitted to use the bathrooms that match their gender presentation or play with the sports teams that match their gender presentation and their gender identity. In terms of what causes this gender nonconformity, it is generally agreed upon by sociologists and psychologists that gender roles and gendered behaviors are implemented through socialization and are not an expression of biology. Several studies have found that the highest level of impact on gender role socialization is from the family, as opposed to outside environments such as their peers and their schools. As seen in this ad from McDonald's, family is not the only source of gender socialization. The family has the most influence, but gender roles are pushed from plenty of other sources. The implication of this advertisement is that boys are supposed to want the Hot Wheels and girls are supposed to want the Barbie, and this is reinforced through employees asking if children want the girl item or the boy item. While this topic is discussed quite frequently in media, there is unfortunately not a large amount of research done on the relationship between gender nonconforming kids and LGBTQ parents. The majority of research on LGBTQ youth focuses on how the children of LGBTQ parents are not inherently more likely to identify as LGBT. For this project, I read several studies on gender nonconformity in children, along with the effects of parents on gender nonconformity. The main readings that I will be covering are Gender Buffet by Kate Averitt, Trans Kids Being Gendered in the 21st Century by Tay Meadow, and Parent Responses to Childhood Gender Nonconformity by Lee Spivey. Parent Responses to Gender Nonconformity by Lee Spivey suggests that gender nonconformity is discouraged far more heavily in children who are assigned male at birth than their assigned female at birth counterparts. However, even with assigned male at birth children, fathers specifically are more likely to support heavy nonconformity as opposed to slight nonconformity. This study was conducted with heterosexual parents, and it likely is a reaction that is an act of self-preservation of the masculinity of the father. Many parents believe that their children are reflective of themselves, and fathers fear that if their sons are gender nonconforming, it would be seen as an attack on their own masculinity. Therefore, if they see slight to moderate signs of gender nonconformity, they feel as if they should be able to correct it in order to maintain their masculine image. However, fathers will less frequently attempt to correct their assigned male at birth's gender expression when they display more extreme signs of gender nonconformity. This is an interesting conclusion, as most people would assume that the correction is attempted more often when the children are displaying more deviant displays of gender nonconformity. A possible reason that is not true is that fathers feel they have a smaller chance of their corrections being taken into account when there is a higher rate of deviance in their child that they view as needing to be corrected. In Gender Buffet, author Kate Averitt examines how parents being LGBTQ impacts their gender socialization of their children, as they operate in a less heteronormative manner from their cishet parent counterparts. Averitt suggests that LGBT parents are less likely to discourage their children from presenting in a non-typical manner, and levels of support range from neutrality to active encouragement. The initial implications of this study when compared to parent responses to gender nonconformity is that LGBTQ parents are more likely to be accepting of gender nonconformity in childhood. This is a predictable outcome as LGBTQ parents understand the struggle of feeling othered in their own childhood and want to prevent their children from feeling the same way. There were some LGBT couples who offered a variety of traditionally gendered activities and clothing to their children, hence the term gender buffet. The parents who did not participate in creating a gender buffet did not discourage their children from exploration, but they felt as if it was on the child to seek out the exploration themselves. One couple, Joseph and Eric from Texas, stated that they had never felt the need to intentionally buy, quote, pink stuff for their two sons, ages 4 and 9. Joseph explained, they never really expressed an interest in more female gender stereotyped toys. We always kidded to the other, well, what if he wants a bright pink pony? I guess we could. This couple, along with several other pairs of LGBTQ parents, felt as if simply allowing their children to explore as they see fit to do so was fostering an inclusive enough environment that their children would not feel discomfort in their identity. Gender Buffet is a great study that offers an uncommon perspective on how LGBTQ parents differ from straight parents in terms of gender exploration. The final study I'll be discussing today is Trans Kids Being Gendered in the 21st Century, specifically a chapter titled Gender Troubles. This chapter is not so much about the identity of the parents, and isn't necessarily about the identities of children either. Gender Troubles focuses on why some parents have a difficult time supporting gender nonconformity. The majority of parents want what's best for their children. They want them to succeed in school and among their peers, and they want them to be happy. However, children are not raised in a vacuum. When you raise children, you have to raise them with awareness and preparation for how those outside their immediate family will treat them. In this chapter, there were several parents that did not want to support their children's desire to socially transition to a different gender presentation. The reasons they mainly mentioned were disapproval from family members that were not involved in the immediate family and school settings, and they did not want to risk the emotional and physical safety of their child and family. Altogether, these studies ultimately determined that LGBTQ plus parents are more likely to participate in active encouragement of gender nonconformity, and nonconformity is more heavily discouraged in children that are assigned male at birth than those who are assigned female at birth. When parents discourage gender nonconformity, their main concerns are safety and image, and when parents encourage nonconformity, their main goal is emotional satisfaction in their children. This concludes my presentation on gender nonconformity in childhood. Here I have listed all my sources. Please feel free to ask me any questions. Thank you.